obviously we've been discussing parenting and all of that, and obviously we're women, so we're going to be mothers, isn't it? But
No, I'm going to be a father.
I'm thinking about it.
you do you, I'll support you no matter what. But so when it comes to a father, do you think that someone has to be a good father and a good partner? Do you think that one can be exclusive of the other? What do you think it takes? Like, what's the difference between a good partner and a good father? Can you be a good partner and a terrible father? Could you be a good father, a terrible partner?
Yes.
I think your character is always consistent. So you might seem to be this really cool dad. I've spoken to friends who said that they had a really cool dad growing up who had a really rocky like relationship with their mom, maybe like infidelity and emotional abuse or whatever, but they were the cool dad. And then you grow up and the parts of their character which they've tried to shield will come out. I want consistency across the board. If you're a bad partner to me, you'll be a bad father along the way. I might not see it when the child is 5, but it might come out when the child is 16. So I don't think you can choose to be one or the other, because your character is consistent. Either you're loyal and you're faithful and you're honest and you're consistent to your child.
Do you know what? I agree with your sentiment, because I feel like there's two parents, father, mother, like, yeah, that's across the board. If the father is good to the children but bad to the mother, you're kind of making the mother a worse version of herself for the children. So no matter how good you are on that front, you would also, it should be in your priority that their mother is in her best self as well. So you doing things to drain her, to make her upset, you're making her a lower quality of mother. Like, do you know what I mean? So whether you're amazing to your kids but you're terrible to the mother, you're making the mother have less energy, have less enthusiasm, have less excitement for her kids. And I feel like that in that part, it doesn't seem like you're doing what's best for the children. Like, whether you're with the mother or not, having a level of respect for her, having decency for her, that means that your children are going to be with the best version of their mother. And I don't feel like you can be a bad one and a good other. Like you said, it's your, like, if you're a certain thing, if you're consistent in cheating, it means that you have some kind of dishonest characteristic. Your children at 6 might not be so privy to it, but your children at 16, at 26 might be more privy to it. So the things that you do, if you make a pattern out of it, it's your character, and your children will discover at one point or the other.
Are we saying, like, for good fathers, are we saying or good mothers, in the whole entirety of what it's deemed to be a good parent? Because I feel there are aspects of good that your parents can have. Like your dad can have the good aspects of being, I guess, maybe the provider or the person who is, to talk to. Maybe he's still shit with your mum, but there are aspects of good that he still pertains. So I think for me is how we defined what good is and what the measurement of good is. Are we saying the measurement of good is in character, or the measurement of good is in actions? Because you can I
think both,
but I think your character breeds your action.
But not all the time though. Not all the
I feel like you can do things out of character. I'm talking about more patterns.
Yeah, you can do stuff out like way out of character. Because for me, I do feel, can someone be a good father but a shit husband? I feel yes you can, because it gets to a certain, because my thing is, gets to a certain point where if I'm growing up with my dad, and I saw my dad, he's a great dad, like he's there. For that 10 years, I had a good dad, because I didn't know what he was doing. So, but I feel like, as children, I can see you, because if my parents are arguing all the time and you allow me to see it, I can see or if you're abused, I can see you're shit dad, because especially if I'm really close to my mom, I see you harm my mom. I can, as a child, I can take that as your shit dad. But some parents do not let, or do not allow their kids to see.
But how long will that last for? So it can go on from when you're 6 to 16, but by the at some point you're going to be revealed to that aspect of his character.
At 16, do you then? So if I've seen my dad from the age of being born to the age of 10, he's a great dad, and now the age of 16 is a great dad. Now I'm 16, I'm clocking what you've done to mum. Do I now say you're a bad dad?
Not necessarily, but you would see that he's not as great as he. So
he's
in general, children see their parents with a rose-tinted glass. In general, like we all see, like our mums are the best and all of that. Not saying that they're not now, but we understand, we have a bit more context to our parents. So obviously from that 6 to 16 or whatever, you're already looking at your dad through rose-tinted glasses. By the time you're 17, you understand actually he's actually like this to my mum. to me, I feel like our parents are extensions of us. So no one can hurt your mum and you're fine. No
no,
one can hurt your dad.
no one can. No one can. But
it would
if
kind
your
of
child,
tint how or taint.
it can take
him
it
to
can
you.
take the image. It can take the image. But I think, would it take the image enough to say he's a bad dad?
Not necessarily.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I guess let's lay
could-
down the
could he
standard
be-
of what is a good dad. Because when I think of what a good parent, I think of what a good parent is,
Yeah.
I want, on the physical sense, that you provide for your child and you're present for your child and you're receptive to their feelings, their needs. On the emotional side, that's what it comes, like the feelings and needs, and that you make sure that everyone in their environment, within your power, can be the best person for them. That includes your significant other, the siblings, the aunties, the uncles. So if you're lacking in any one of those purposefully, not that it was an accident or whatever, something outside of your power.
So you actually intentionally trying to.
That's your character, that you're dishonest. You try to turn the mother against them. You're a bad parent. It doesn't matter that you bought them presents on their birthday and Christmas. You always got the best gift. But if you're arguing with mom and you're draining her spirit all the time, that when she comes home we think that she's the bad parent because she's never around, then you're a bad dad. You're just manipulative.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
I feel like there's different things I'm thinking about. I think coming from a background where my parents weren't together from when I was 12 years old, and me having an awareness of what their relationship was like, it being an abusive relationship, I often kind of, or have had to kind of adjust how I see my parents. So one of the ways that, and it's helped me manage my relationship with them individually, is I always have to see my parents as flawed people in the first place.
Yeah.
So obviously, I guess there's a universal what a good dad is.
Yeah.
But then I also have to understand that there's my expectations of what a good dad looks like, and it might not be what you think a good dad looks like. So, like, again, what makes a good father is it can be subjective because it's different for different people.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say as well though is I did like what you said earlier on about there being sort of like character traits, and because I feel like my experience of my dad, and I love the man, but I think in understanding how he treated my mum as a partner, as I grew older, maybe not necessarily in my younger years, I was aware of the abuse in my younger years, but for some reason in my younger years, my dad was my hero.
Yeah.
So I was my daddy's girl, irrespective of what I knew he was doing and what was going on. I did see it. It wasn't roasted. As I grew older, in my individual relationship, especially when my parents weren't together, in my individual relationship with him, and even just watching him with my siblings, I began to see patterns of behavior that were very similar to what, or patterns of behavior that he had when he was a partner to my mum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, kind of abusive patterns of behavior, or patterns of behavior that were kind of like emotionally manipulative or financially manipulative, and that began to affect my relationship with him. Yeah. So I feel like this idea of can you be a good father or I feel like it's very layered. Yeah. I think it changes with kind of like stages in life, with age, and then what you said about there being a character of a person, which I think we all have as individuals. Like there's character.
With mine, it's so different because growing up, like the things that my dad did to my mum that I was never shielded from. I saw everything, and it was like I grew up with resentment for both, like for both people, and it was so as I didn't obviously notice the character traits and stuff, but I just knew like this shouldn't really happen. I don't like the energy in the house. As a young child, I don't like anything being like the way it was, but I still wouldn't call him a bad dad. Even though his experience with my mum might be shit, I personally wouldn't, because I know whenever I needed him to show up, he just showed up, and I see the growth he's trying to do, and I see him trying to be better for her and better for us. So I think that's why I sort of struggle to
I think and I even with that, I think it can change. So there was a time where I was like, yeah, you're crap, that I felt that my dad was a bad dad.
Yeah.
But then I think as I grew older and I began to kind of like readjust how I see even both parents individually, because there was a time when I thought, yeah, my mom was a bad mom as well. As I began to readjust how I saw them as individual people, in that they're both flawed. I think the lens, when I speak to people about like how to have a relationship with my parents, one of the things I did with them as individual people is I had to kind of like manage my expectations. In a sense, I had to say, you know what, they're both very good at this. I'm gonna engage with them based on that and value them for that. They're not good at this, so I'm gonna go and source that somewhere else. If that makes sense, like what I was saying earlier on, they're both amazing business people. If I ever need business advice, I don't ever need to go anywhere. If I ever need to have a space where I can just actually be open, even if I'm not gonna get adequate advice, I know that I have them. I can talk to either of my parents about absolutely anything. If I killed someone, I know I can actually go and tell my mom I committed a crime. I done murdered somebody.
I think that's true.
I think in my family, I feel like because of my dad, so I first met him like face to face when I was 9. And in that time, we were talking very on and off. Our relationship was very sporadic. So I would never say, oh, he was a good dad or whatever. But I love my dad very much. We can speak on the phone for hours. And it's a very weird dynamic. So obviously, he hasn't been the best father to me. But as just a person, I like him. Me and him get along very well. I'll never say I hate my dad. I love him very much. And it's a very complex dynamic, I would say. Like there's we can have a lot of arguments from here to there. I can go back to the past. I can feel a certain way. I can narrate for you for 5 hours how he stemmed a lot of problems in me in terms of like abandonment and feeling very rejected and unloved or whatever. But when we do have our moments to connect, we're like a house on fire. We're very similar. I look like him. We like the same foods. We're like the way that we think. It's weird. We're very, very similar, and I love him very much. But I wouldn't call him a good dad, but I wouldn't call him a bad man. So it's very subjective. I would say as a man, he's a lovely person. But obviously that doesn't negate from him not being a great dad. Yeah. So I feel like people are very multifaceted in that sense, if that makes sense.
I don't think I can split the two. Maybe it comes from a place of privilege because of what I've seen in my household. But I think my father is a good father because he's been a good husband. There's never a point where I haven't seen personally because him ever fall short of what my mum expected him to be a husband, and then he's ever fallen short of what, because if my mum was happy, she's a good mother to us, and then he can be a good father, and they complemented each other well. He didn't have he's not this amazing well-rounded person that can do everything. He's not a very emotional person. He's not in touch with his emotions, but I know that I could go to my mum for that, and they complemented each other. But because there was mutual respect for each other and love and unity, even if they weren't together, if that respect is there and they're good standalone people, I think you can be a good parent. If you're a bad person, you can't be a good parent. It doesn't reconcile in my mind, because one day your true character will come out, and your inconsistencies, your dishonesty, your disloyalty, it will come out.
Yeah, and I think even with what you're saying, I do agree to an extent about the fact that I guess part of being a good parent is being able to co-parent, so parent with the person in whom you have a child with, so you can be good all on your own. But if you're not able to have mutual respect for the person who you brought the child into the world with, then there I guess we can question can question your parenting skills, in that sense that you won't, so for example, in a scenario where you aren't parents together, or you aren't in the same house, we can question your parenting, that you won't be civil enough to co-parent. Is a question
or are
on
you leaving your co-parent in the best condition to be a
parent to your child, because then that's going to affect your child. The fact that
if you have a mother that's always very strung out, very stressed, very doubtful of herself, it's going to reflect on her parenting, whether you like it or not. So I feel like that's
when she starts hitting her kids.
Whatever, man.
Some men are not good as husbands. They're better fathers. I dare say my ex is a better dad than he was a husband. He has a relationship with my children, all of them. We kind of raise our children, even though we're not together, we raise them the same way. so they can talk to us and everything. So he just wasn't great at being a husband. But as a dad, even from when they were little, like he would feed them, he would bathe them. I wouldn't wake up to feed at night. I'd just express in a bottle. So I'd kind of hear him talking to them. My eldest was really troublesome, so she wouldn't go to sleep at night. So sometimes you'd have to get in the car and drive her around Upper Norwood and everything. I would sleep well. I didn't. When they come back, oh, you put her back. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to work tomorrow. So so he did that whole thing. He was in the labor room and everything. So he was a hands-on dad, changing diapers, which isn't typical for a Nigerian father most of the time.
Can I ask what tribe he's from?
He's not really a tribe thing. His brothers are not like that. So no, he's a Shekiri.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if he was Yoruba, honestly, I'd stand up and clap because that's
why they don't do any of that.
I don't know my father's Yoruba. I can't say that.
Yeah, we'll find you. Typically, they don't, But hey, it's your child now. It took two of us to make this little person. Why do I get to have a child all by myself?